The ultimatum. The message came without warning. It was an ordinary Thursday when every screen on Earth simultaneously went dark. From Times Square billboards to smartphones in Tokyo to tablets in Lagos, all displays flickered and died for 3 long seconds before reigniting with the same image. A towering figure with iridescent crimson scales, 4 piercing violet eyes, and gleaming ceremonial armor. People of Earth, the alien began, its voice resonating with a harmonic quality that seemed both beautiful and threatening. I am Supreme Admiral Krell of the Dravari Imperium. Our domain spans 1,000 worlds across 3 spiral arms of this galaxy. We have observed your civilization for centuries. The alien's upper eyes blinked independently of the lower pair. Your species shows potential despite your primitive state. The Imperium requires new subjects, and your world possesses resources valuable to our expansion. You have 30 Earth days to surrender your sovereignty, dismantle your militaries, and prepare for integration into the Imperium. Admiral Krell's expression hardened. Should you refuse, we will systematically eliminate your population centers until resistance ceases or your species is eradicated. This is not negotiable. This is mercy. The screens returned to their normal functions, but the world had changed forever. Dr. Elena Vega sprinted through the underground corridors of the Pentagon, ignoring the frantic activity around her. As the director of the Quantum Physics Division at DARA PA, she rarely visited military headquarters, but today was no ordinary day. Her security clearance badge flashed green at each checkpoint as she hurried toward the Crisis Command Center. Inside, President Tasha Reynolds stood at the center of a circular room filled with military brass, intelligence directors, and science advisors. The tension was thick enough to cut. Dr. Vega, the president acknowledged with a nod. I'm told you have information pertinent to our situation. Elena took a deep breath. Madam President, what I'm about to share is classified beyond top secret. Only 12 people on Earth know the full extent of this program. She pressed her palm against a biometric scanner, and the large display wall transformed into a 3-dimensional hologram showing what appeared to be massive shipyards hidden within the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter. Gasps filled the room as the image rotated to reveal hundreds of spacecraft. Sleek, aggressive vessels clearly built for warfare, nestled among the asteroids. This is Project Aegis, Elena explained. 23 years ago, we recovered an advanced alien craft that crashed in the Atacama Desert. The technology was centuries beyond anything humanity had developed. Rather than announce this to the world and risk panic or worse, an international coalition of scientists and military experts was formed to study and reverse engineer the technology. General Howard Chen stepped forward. You're telling us we have the secret space fleet. Why wasn't the president informed? Protocol established by the United Nations Security Council in 2041, Elena replied. Knowledge of Project Aegis transfers to a sitting president only if first contact occurs during their administration or if the project reaches operational status. Until today, neither condition had been met. President Reynolds studied the hologram with narrowing eyes. And what exactly are we looking at here, Doctor? 217 vessels of various classes, 53 destroyers, 28 carriers, 112 smaller tactical ships, and our flagship, the EDF Prometheus. They're equipped with gravitic drives, plasma-based weapon systems, and shield technology based on quantum field manipulation. We've improved significantly upon the original designs over the years. The room fell silent as the implications sank in. Can they fight? Asked Admiral Jackson. Elena's expression remained carefully neutral. They were built for exactly this scenario. Admiral, the real question is, should they? 48 hours later, a global summit convened in the massive underground facility beneath Geneva. Security was unprecedented as heads of state from every nation arrived via secret tunnels and high-speed subterranean transports. Elena stood beside Captain Marcus Chen as they waited to brief the world leaders. Marcus was the commander of the EDF Prometheus and the tactical genius who had shaped the fleet's combat doctrine during years of simulated warfare. "You look nervous," Marcus noted quietly. "I've kept secrets for 15 years, Alina replied. "In 5 minutes, I disclose everything to 200 world leaders and hope they make the right decision." Marcus adjusted his uniform. At 42, he carried himself with the confidence of someone who had prepared his entire life for this moment. The right decision isn't always the obvious one. The chamber doors opened, and they walked into an amphitheater filled with every major world leader. President Reynolds nodded from her position at the central podium. "Leaders of Earth," she began, "you've all seen the transmission from the Dravari Imperium. Their ultimatum expires in 28 days. Before we discuss our response, there's something you need to see." Alina stepped forward and activated her presentation. The holographic display above the center of the room showed the full extent of Project Aegis, the shipyards, the fleet, and the weapons systems humanity had developed in secret. For nearly 3 hours, she explained the project's history, capabilities, and readiness. When she finished, the room erupted in a cacophony of questions, accusations, and exclamations. President Reynolds raised her hands for silence. "Captain Chen will now brief us on our military options." Marcus stepped to the podium, his voice steady and authoritative. "The Dravari fleet currently holds position near Jupiter's orbit. We've identified 63 warships of various classes. Based on our scans, their technology is impressive, but not insurmountable. The Aegis fleet was designed specifically to counter technologically superior forces through asymmetric tactics and our unique innovations." He displayed tactical projections showing potential engagement scenarios. "We have 3 primary options. First, we can attempt diplomatic contact while keeping our fleet hidden, essentially playing for time. Second, we can launch a preemptive strike, using the element of surprise. Third, we can reveal our fleet as a deterrent while opening diplomatic channels." The German chancellor rose from her seat. "How can we trust these vessels you've built in secret? Have they ever been tested in actual combat?" "They have not," Marcus admitted. "But we've run over 10,000 simulated engagements against the type of technology we observed from the crashed vessel. Our win probability ranges from 63% to 78% depending on variables." Debates raged for hours as world leaders grappled with the revelation of Project Aegis and the threat of the Dravari. Some demanded immediate surrender, fearing annihilation. Others called for immediate attack, arguing that surprise was their only advantage. As the arguments continued, Alina noticed Marcus studying the alien fleet projections with intense concentration. "What is it?" she asked quietly. "Their formation," he murmured. "It's defensive. They're expecting resistance." Alina frowned. "How can that be?" "They believe we're primitive." "That's what they told us," Marcus replied. "But their deployment says otherwise." The final vote was nearly unanimous. Earth would attempt diplomacy first, sending representatives aboard an ostensibly unarmed diplomatic vessel, while secretly deploying the Aegis fleet in strategic positions throughout the solar system. 3 days later, the diplomatic shuttle departed Earth orbit with Ambassador Layla Okafor, Earth's most decorated diplomat, and Commander Raj Patel, a military intelligence officer posing as her aide. Their mission was to buy time, gather intelligence, and, if possible, negotiate terms better than complete surrender. Meanwhile, the shipyards in the asteroid belt came alive as the fleet prepared for the first time to defend humanity against an external threat. The massive Prometheus detached from its berth, thrusters glowing with exotic energy as Captain Chen took his place on the bridge. "All systems operational, Captain," reported his executive officer, Commander Diana Taylor. "Communications check with all squadron leaders," Chen ordered. "All squadrons reporting ready, sir." Chen gazed at the tactical display, showing the Dravari fleet orbiting Jupiter. Their diplomatic shuttle was approaching the alien Armada, a tiny mote of light heading toward the massive Imperial vessels. "Deploy as planned," Chen ordered. "Stealth systems at maximum. No energy signatures above background radiation." Throughout the solar system, humanity's secret fleet moved into position, destroyers using the moon for cover, carriers hiding in Earth's shadow, tactical vessels disguised as orbital debris. The Prometheus itself headed toward the dark side of Mars, its advanced stealth systems making it virtually invisible to conventional sensors. Just as the fleet reached its positions, a message arrived from the diplomatic shuttle. Ambassador Okafor's face appeared on the main screen, her expression grave. "Captain Chen, I've made first contact with Supreme Admiral Krell. He's agreed to negotiations, but..." She hesitated. "Something's wrong. Their questions are too specific. Their knowledge of our military capabilities too precise. I believe they know far more about us than they've revealed." Chen exchanged glances with Alina, who had joined him on the bridge as scientific advisor. "Keep them talking, Ambassador," he replied. "We need more time to analyze their fleet and capabilities." As the transmission ended, an alert sounded from the sensor station. "Captain," called out Lieutenant Kim, "we're detecting energy surges from 3 of the Draveri vessels. They're moving to intercept something near Saturn's rings." Chen leaned forward. "What's out there?" "Unknown, sir. But whatever it is, the Draveri seem very interested in it." Alina moved to the science station and studied the readings. "Marcus," she said quietly, using his first name despite the formal bridge setting. "I think they're hunting." "Hunting what?" he asked. Her eyes met his, filled with sudden understanding. "Us, or someone like us. I don't think we're the first civilization they've approached this way." Chen's tactical mind raced through the implications. If they're hunting for hidden forces, then they expect resistance, Alina finished. "Which means..." "This could be a trap," Chen stated flatly. He turned to communications. "Priority alert to all vessels. Maintain positions but prepare for immediate engagement, and get me a direct line to the President. We may need to accelerate our timetable." As the bridge crew rushed to comply, Chen and Elena stared at the tactical display showing the diplomatic shuttle now docked with the Draveri flagship, their colleagues and friends surrounded by an alien armada that might already know humanity's greatest secret. The clock was ticking. 25 days remained until the ultimatum expired, but Chen suspected events would come to a head long before then. "What now?" Elena asked softly. Chen's expression hardened with resolve. "Now we prepare to show the Draveri Imperium exactly what humanity is capable of." Defiance. Ambassador Layla Okafor had spent 30 years in diplomatic service, but nothing had prepared her for the oppressive grandeur of the Draveri flagship. The ceiling soared 20 meters overhead, the corridors were wide enough for 10 humans to walk abreast, and everything gleamed with a metallic purple-black sheen that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. She walked beside Commander Raj Patel through the massive ship, escorted by 4 Draveri guards whose armor hummed with barely contained energy. Despite his civilian attire, Raj's eyes constantly scanned their surroundings, cataloging security measures and vessel architecture. "They want us to be intimidated," Layla whispered. Raj gave an almost imperceptible nod. "The architecture is psychological warfare. But notice the security. It's thorough but not overwhelming." They're confident. They entered what could only be described as a throne room. Supreme Admiral Krell sat upon an elevated platform, his 4 violet eyes studying them with evident disdain. Behind him stood various Draveri officers and what appeared to be scientific personnel. "Ambassador Okafor," Krell's voice resonated through the chamber. "I admit surprise that your species opted for dialogue rather than immediate surrender." Layla maintained perfect composure. "Supreme Admiral, humanity has always valued diplomatic solutions. We wish to understand the terms of integration into your Imperium and perhaps negotiate conditions that would benefit both our peoples." Krell's upper eyes narrowed. "Integration is simple. Your resources become ours. Your people serve where we deem appropriate. Your cultures may persist so long as they do not interfere with imperial directives." "And what of our autonomy?" Layla asked. "Our self-governance. Limited autonomy might be permitted after several generations of proven loyalty, Krell replied dismissively. Now tell me about your planetary defenses. It would be prudent to begin disarmament immediately as a show of good faith. Raj, playing his role as aide, leaned forward. Sir, our leaders are prepared to discuss disarmament, but surely such details would follow rather than precede formal agreement. One of the scientific officers whispered something to Krell, who studied the humans with renewed interest. Your nuclear weapons and conventional forces are of no consequence, Krell stated. I refer to your other defenses. Layla and Raj exchanged a careful glance. We don't understand, Layla said cautiously. Earth has no other significant defense systems. Krell stood suddenly, towering over them. Do not insult my intelligence with deception, Ambassador. Our scans have detected unusual energy signatures throughout your solar system. Primitive as you may be, you are hiding something. Back on the Prometheus, Captain Chen monitored the diplomatic feed with growing concern. The Draveri knew too much. Have they detected our fleet? He asked Lieutenant Kim at the sensor station. Negative, Captain. Our stealth systems are functioning perfectly. But Kim hesitated. We're picking up unusual scan patterns from the Draveri vessels. They're using some form of quantum resonance technology. It's unlike anything in our database. Dr. Vega moved to the science station. Let me see that. She studied the readings, then paled. This is bad. They're not scanning for our ship specifically. They're scanning for the unique quantum signature of the propulsion technology we reverse-engineered. How is that possible? Chen demanded. Belina's mind raced through possibilities before her eyes widened with realization. The crashed ship. It wasn't an accident. It was planted. A technological Trojan horse with a unique signature they could track when we incorporated it into our own designs. You mean we've been set up? For 23 years? Commander Taylor asked incredulously. It would explain why they know exactly what to look for, Alina confirmed, and why their tactical formation suggested they expected resistance. Chen's face hardened. Lieutenant Kim broadcast new orders to the fleet. All vessels initiate Protocol Omega. Full systems reset and switch to backup propulsion systems. The conventional drives, sir. They're much slower and less maneuverable, Taylor pointed out. Yes, but they don't carry the quantum signature the Draveri are looking for, Chen replied. Dr. Vega, how quickly can you modify our primary systems to mask the signature? Hours for basic masking, days for a complete overhaul. Chen nodded grimly. Then we buy time. Commander Taylor, prepare a message to Earth. We need to warn the President that our diplomatic representatives may be in greater danger than we anticipated. On the Draveri flagship, Layla maintained her diplomatic composure despite the growing hostility. Supreme Admiral, I assure you that Earth has been transparent about its capabilities. Perhaps what your scans detected were natural phenomena or misinterpreted readings. Krell gestured, and a holographic display appeared between them showing the solar system. Red dots pulsed in various locations, near Earth's moon, in Mars' orbit, throughout the asteroid belt. 17 minutes ago, these energy signatures were present, Krell stated. Now they have vanished. Your primitive attempts at deception only confirm my suspicions. He turned to an officer. Prepare to target their major cities. If they will not be honest about their capabilities, we will force their compliance. Wait. Raj stepped forward, dropping all pretense of being a diplomatic aide. You speak of honesty, Admiral, yet you approached Earth under false pretenses as well. Krell's 4 eyes focused on him. Explain yourself, human. The technology you are scanning for, you planted it on Earth years ago, didn't you? A crashed ship with just enough advanced technology to guide our development in a direction you could monitor and control. A ripple of surprise passed through the Draveri officers. Krell's lower eyes blinked rapidly, what Layla now recognized as a sign of agitation. You are more perceptive than expected, Krell admitted. The Imperium has seeded hundreds of developing worlds with carefully designed technological samples. Those who adapt the technology reveal themselves capable of serving the Imperium in technical capacities. Those who cannot adapt it are suited only for labor and resource extraction. Layla stepped forward. Then this was never about surrender. It was an assessment to determine our value to your empire. Precisely. Krell's voice carried a note of approval. And by detecting our scans and adapting quickly, your species has shown promise. However, his tone hardened. Hiding your capabilities suggests resistance. This we cannot tolerate. On the Prometheus, alarms blared as tactical displays updated with new information. Captain, the Draveri fleet is moving. 6 vessels have broken formation and are on an intercept course with Earth, Lieutenant Kim reported. Elena looked up from her work modifying the propulsion signature. They must have realized we changed our systems. Chen made his decision instantly. Battle stations. Notify all Earth forces. Commander Taylor, execute Maneuver Typhoon. Throughout the solar system, humanity's hidden fleet came to life. The Prometheus surged from behind Mars, its massive engines glowing with controlled power as it moved to intercept the Draveri vessels heading toward Earth. Communications broadcast on all frequencies, including what we believe to be the Draveri command channel, Chen ordered. The view screen showed the approaching Draveri ships, sleek, predatory vessels bristling with weapons. This is Captain Marcus Chen of the Earth Defense Force vessel Prometheus, he announced, his voice steady and authoritative. Draveri vessels on course for Earth. You are entering protected space. Reverse course immediately or be engaged. For several tense seconds, there was no response. Then the tactical display updated as the Draveri ships adjusted course, not away from Earth, but directly toward the Prometheus. They're powering weapons, Captain, reported Lieutenant Kim. Shields at maximum. Hold position. Chen commanded. He turned to communications. Activate the fleet. Across the solar system, humanity's warships dropped their stealth protocols and revealed themselves. On tactical displays, blue dots appeared by the dozens, then hundreds, from Earth orbit, from behind the moon, from the asteroid belt, converging on the Draveri fleet's position. On the Draveri flagship, alarms sounded as officers rushed to stations. Krell's attention was diverted from his prisoners as a subordinate displayed a tactical hologram. Impossible, Krell whispered, his arrogance cracking for the first time as he witnessed the full extent of humanity's fleet. Layla and Raj exchanged glances of carefully controlled triumph. It seems, Layla said calmly, that we have more to discuss than you anticipated, Supreme Admiral. The first shots of the battle came from the Draveri. Brilliant purple energy lanced toward the Prometheus, only to splash harmlessly against its shields. Shields holding at 92%, reported Commander Taylor. Their weapons are powerful, but not beyond our capabilities. Return fire, Chen ordered. Targeted strikes only. I want to disable, not destroy. The Prometheus answered with precise pulse beam strikes that carved into the lead Draveri vessel's weapon emplacements. Simultaneously, squadrons of smaller Earth ships executed perfect flanking maneuvers surrounding the Draveri attackers. They're adapting their shield frequencies, Elena warned from the science station. Each hit will be less effective. Chen nodded. Execute pattern Delta 7. All vessels, coordinate shield penetration sequences. What followed was a ballet of precision warfare. Where the Draveri ships were powerful and technically advanced, the Earth fleet displayed superior tactics and adaptability. Ships moved in coordinated attack patterns that confused Draveri targeting systems while focusing fire from multiple angles to overwhelm their defenses. Within 20 minutes, 3 Draveri vessels hung dead in space, their systems disabled but crews intact. The remaining 3 had withdrawn to defensive positions. Captain, communications reported, we're receiving a transmission from the Draveri flagship. Supreme Admiral Krell's image appeared on screen, with Ambassador Okafor and Commander Patel visible behind him, apparently unarmed. Captain Chen. Krell's voice had lost its condescending edge. It seems we have underestimated humanity's resourcefulness. That appears to be a common failing of empires, Admiral, Chen replied evenly. I believe it would be appropriate to release our diplomatic representatives and withdraw your forces from our solar system. Krill's 4 eyes blinked in their complex pattern. The Imperium does not withdraw, Captain. However, we are willing to reassess the terms of potential integration. Chen leaned forward. Let me be clear, Admiral. There will be no integration. Earth does not surrender, not to you or any other power that threatens our sovereignty. We are, however, open to establishing diplomatic relations between equals. Equals. Krill seemed genuinely perplexed by the concept. You have demonstrated impressive capabilities, but the Imperium has just lost 3 warships without inflicting significant damage on our fleet. Chen interrupted. And your flagship is currently targeted by 47 of our vessels. I suggest you reconsider what equals means in this context, Admiral. A long silence followed as Krell conferred with his officers off-screen. When he returned to view, his demeanor had subtly changed. The Draveri Imperium acknowledges the unexpected capabilities of humanity, he stated formally. We propose a ceasefire and diplomatic talks to establish formal relations. Chen nodded. Acceptable, with one condition. All Draveri forces will withdraw beyond the orbit of Neptune during negotiations. After another brief consultation, Krell agreed. 1 week later, humanity celebrated its first diplomatic treaty with an extraterrestrial civilization. The Draveri Earth Accord established boundaries, trade agreements, and mutual non-aggression pacts. Most importantly, it recognized Earth as a sovereign power rather than a subject world. In the White House Situation Room, President Reynolds met with the architects of humanity's successful first contact. Captain Chen, Dr. Vega, Ambassador Okafor, and Commander Patel gathered around the conference table. And our intelligence assessment? The President asked. Raj consulted his notes. The Draveri are powerful, but not invincible. Their empire rules through intimidation and technological superiority, but they've grown complacent. Our adaptive tactics genuinely surprised them. We've also learned that they've been using the seed technology strategy on dozens of worlds. Alina added, most species either fail to reverse engineer the technology or integrate it without question, never realizing they're being manipulated. So we passed their test by seeing through it, Reynolds concluded. And by creating our own path forward rather than following their technological breadcrumbs, Chen agreed. The modifications we made to their original designs were what allowed us to counter their attacks so effectively. The President stood, walking to the window that overlooked the White House lawn where citizens celebrated in the streets beyond. What's next for Project Aegis? She asked. Elena and Marcus exchanged glances before Elena answered. The fleet remains our first line of defense, but we've learned that there are other powers beyond the Draveri. Some potentially friendly, others definitely not. We need to prepare for both possibilities. And the crashed ship that started all this? Reynolds asked. Being thoroughly re-examined, Elena confirmed. We're stripping it down to component atoms if necessary to make sure there are no other surprises. Reynolds nodded thoughtfully. 23 years ago, we thought we were alone in the universe. Today, we've earned the respect of an interstellar empire and taken our first steps onto a much larger stage. Captain Chen rose to stand beside her. With all due respect, Madam President, we've done more than earn respect. We've shown the galaxy that humanity doesn't surrender. We adapt, we overcome, and we forge our own destiny, regardless of the odds against us. Outside, fireworks burst above the National Mall as Earth celebrated not just its survival, but its defiance, a declaration to the stars that humanity had arrived on the galactic stage not as subjects, but as equals. In the vast darkness between worlds, the Earth fleet maintained its vigilant watch, humanity's shield against whatever the universe might send next. The first test had been passed, but Captain Chen knew there would be others. The galaxy was vast, ancient, and filled with powers beyond imagination. Yet for the first time, he believed humanity was ready to face them, not alone, but together, with the same ingenuity and courage that had carried their species from stone tools to starships within the blink of cosmic time. The Draveri had come expecting surrender. Instead, they had found defiance, and in that defiance, a worthy addition to the galactic community of worlds.